Hey y'all, Pastor Jeremy here, and today is Fat Tuesday. And being from the Gulf Coast, I am keenly aware that I am in Kennesaw and not Pensacola. I feel that absence of Mardi Gras, the big wild party before we kick off the quiet and solemn season of Lent. Last year, we were already in our all-online COVID version of community by the time Lent came around. And we weren't sure how long we were going to be there. We weren't sure what anything was going to look like. We didn't really understand the virus at all yet, or the disease that it caused. And we had a conversation together throughout Lent called Drops Like Stars. We followed a book, but also had open discussion to talk about loss and mourning and confusion and how to live in those spaces as a Christian. And I want to do another series for Lent this year. And of course, Lent is that season on the Christian calendar where we prepare ourselves for the drama of Holy Week and the excitement of resurrection truth on Easter. Traditionally, Lent is about, or rather is celebrated, if that's the right word, by fasting, by giving something up, by entering into the deep discipline of letting things go. But honestly, I think we've already let too much go this year. We've missed too many things because of COVID, because of the pandemic, because of politics and division and stress and tension. We've already fasted, maybe not on purpose, maybe not with discipline, but we've been caused to fast from many good things. So maybe instead of giving something up, this year you can take something on. Maybe the discipline of adding a new spiritual practice could be the trick for this year's Lent. And so what I'm going to do this Lent is practice the ancient Christian discipline of blessing. Specifically, I'm intrigued by the Celtic spiritual tradition. Christianity grew up on the British Isles, completely different than the world around it. It was isolated from Catholicism in ways and influenced by it in others. It looks similar to other traditions, but is uniquely its own, and it bred some really beautiful pieces of spirituality and discipleship and discipline and devotion. And so I want to share some of that practice with you this Lent through one of the most quintessential Celtic traditions of blessing. Now, blessing, when we use the word, when we think about the word, sometimes we use it to mean prayer. You bless a meal. That's not what we're talking about here, not necessarily. Sometimes blessing means to give someone. I bless you by giving something to you. That's not exactly what we're going to mean in this practice. Sometimes blessing just means to speak nicely of someone, and that's not exactly what this means. In the Celtic worldview, there's an understanding that our words have power beyond just what they mean, beyond how they're received, beyond how they can hurt someone or how they can encourage someone, that those are real and powerful and meaningful, but also that by speaking truth, that those words take on this energetic, creative energy of God. That when we speak the words of God, when we speak things that are deeply true, that we are engaged in the practice of creation along with our Creator. And so with that in mind, I want to read to you really quickly from someone who is better at explaining it than I am. This is Colonies of Heaven by Ian Bradley. I highly recommend it. But he says, pronouncing a blessing is no more mere pleasantry or routine greeting. It's not a normal thing. It's not just a hey, it's not just bless you. It's meaningful. Nor did it simply involve, as its Latin root benediction suggests, speaking well of someone or something. It's not just saying good things. Rather, it conveyed to the recipient, in an almost physical sense, a portion of God's goodness and grace. Jumping ahead, this culture of blessing was part of a wider understanding of the spiritual warfare in which Christians were called to engage with the dark forces of sin and evil. In this battle, the invocation of God's power, as well as the invocation of his love and goodness, was vital if the forces of good were to prevail. This is why, in the Irish tradition particularly, so many prayers and poems of blessing speak of protection or encircling. To speak blessing is to invoke the deep truth that God is alive and active and present in the world around us. And it's to, by acknowledging these things, to step into that reality. To say, God is here, God is alive, God is active, God is good, God is working justice, God is working healing, God is sharing love, God is bringing communities together, God is continuing to create. By saying these things, by speaking them out loud and intentionally, we join God in all of that. So, this Lent, I want to give you examples on how to do this, to continually put some blessings before you and share some words about blessing, and invite you to join God in the remaking of the world. Because if we ever needed it, it's probably now. Our communities need blessing. Our families need blessing. Our churches need blessing. Our country needs blessing. Our world needs blessing. And so, we will together engage in the process of speaking beauty and truth and justice and life back into the world around us, and see if we don't find it unleashed in us as well. I'm excited to join you on this journey. My plan is that I will just give you a Celtic blessing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and that somewhere throughout the week I'll stop and share some words about how to do blessing, how to engage in blessing. We'll look at some scriptural reflections on blessing, times when we see it in the Bible happening, and some theological backing for that oomph that comes with this beautiful practice. I'm excited. I hope you are too. I think this will be really fun. Thanks, y'all. Happy Mardi Gras. I need some beads. Does anyone know where I can find a king cake?